we were discussing in the previous class, and we were talking about the various characteristics of a living creature, right? Okay. So quickly, do tell me what are the different features of a living organism? Yes, what were the different characteristics of living organisms which were discussed in the previous class?
One cell organism.
Simply,
Uh,
organisms will be having cells in them. Okay.
yeah,
And there could be organisms having just one cell that are unicellular, like the bacterias, I know.
yeah,
And then there are one which could be having more than one cells, which are multicellular,
it- multicellular.
like we humans, plants, etc. Then what was another characteristics of organism?
Mm,
Yes, like talking about plants and animals, we get to see that both of them does movement in their own way. I know
yeah,
movement can be seen considering, like talking about plants. Yeah, plants, although they are living things, but they do not appear to move like a dog or a or an animal or any other animal. While on the other hand, we have examples of car or buses which can actually move, yet we consider them as a non-living substance, because movement in its sense is somewhat different thing. Right now, mere movement of a body from one place to another does not make it a living organism. For movement, for living organisms to be under the for a thing to be living, apart from movement, there are several other characteristics that it has to fulfill. Right now, like it should be
yeah.
having cells in it, it should be showing movement. Right now, and then like it should be breathing also.
It should be
Right,
growing.
it should be growing also. Very good. It will show growth also. Breathing, both plants and animals, both of them does this. Right, the manner in which plants takes up oxygen from the atmosphere or any other component from the atmosphere, it is different from the manner in which animals take place. Okay, now talking about plants, right? In the case of plants, they take up the gases, they take up the gases from the environment through the pores found in their stomata, right? And that also occurs due to the process of diffusion. I know.
Yeah,
So in plants, diffusion, via the help of diffusion, the gases exchange take place from the stomatal pores. Okay, now from the stomatal pores.
yeah,
While animals have got specialized organs. Okay, or it could be skins also. Take the example of frogs. Frogs breathe through their skins, as you know. है ना? So organs
uh,
that humans and that animals have, it would be lungs, gills. Okay. Consider examples of several insects like cockroaches. They have got spiracles in them, right now. And then
yeah,
you have frogs which can breathe through their skin also, through their moist skin also. Then growth is also shown by the living organisms. Growth is shown in two ways. Growth actually happens in two ways. For whatever type of growth I'm going to talk about, it will involve division of cells, right? Division of cells. So from one cell, two cells will be formed, and then four cells will be formed. Getting it now?
yeah.
So division of cells will lead to growth, right? And then there were several other things also. What were they? Name them also.
Mm.
Will animals not take up? Will they or living organisms not take up nutrition also? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, we are just revising it. So please quickly name them. We have to move ahead also. Okay, Abu. So please name all the things which we discussed in the previous class. So nutrition be living organisms, and also they will break down the food which they are eating. Hmm. So
Yeah.
living organisms will break down the food in the presence of oxygen, and that process is called as respiration. I know
Yeah.
we discussed all these things right now. So as you can see by the diagram, in the organisms there are different levels of organization, right? So living organisms, they are made up of cells. They will grow and develop. Okay, they will take up the food, break down the food, and then use that food to obtain energy. They will also mate among themselves. Right now, organisms of the same species will mate with the same species to give birth to new ones. That is reproduction. Then they will also respond to their environment. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, so we have got sensitivity also, nutrition is also being taken up, reproduction, growth, movement, respiration, all of that is being shown by the living organisms. Also excretion is also characteristics of the living things, right? So that has been summed up over here. Right now, actually remember that, you should actually remember that, because usually ये question आपको simply आ सकता है, right now. So nutrition, as moments ago we talked, like it's simply the process by which animals obtain food and utilize it for all the activities. That has been called as nutrition. Okay. The screen is
Yeah.
visible to you, know, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. The process by which animals obtain food and utilize it for all their activities, that has been termed as nutrition. And the way in which different organisms obtain nutrition is, it is also different. I know. Like take example of a microscopic organism. For example, amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organisms, right now. So the manner in which this amoeba takes food is quite interesting. Look, the amoeba has got no fixed shape. The shape of the body is not fixed. This is amoeba. Suppose there is a food lying nearby. This is a food. What this amoeba does, Abu? This amoeba in the next stage, what it will do? It will form false legs around this food like this. What it has done over here? It has formed false legs around, temporary legs इसने form की है, right now, and that we call as pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. Actually, remember that term, pseudopodia. Okay, now let me repeat the spelling. It's Pseudopodia. Okay, so whenever a food particle or any prey comes near to this amoeba, it will form false legs. This pair of thing which you see over here, that is a false legs. Why false legs? Because these are temporary legs. So later on, what will happen? These false legs will join together, and the food is not engulfed by this amoeba. It is not engulfed. This blue thing which you see over here, that is a food particle engulfed by this amoeba. While talking about humans, do we also take the food in the same manner? Obviously, no.
No.
We have got mouth. Several in the same case, if you were to take examples of, like अगर हम examples लेते हैं, for example, mosquitoes, right, or the butterflies. Okay, so they have got a long sucking pipe coming out of their mouth. That is called as proboscis. Okay, so you will see, like if you were to look at the face of a mosquito, it is somewhat like this, and a long pipe-like structure comes out of their mouth. That is called as proboscis. What do we call them as? Pro
Proboscis.
proboscis. That is actually a pipe coming out of the mouth that actually helps them to suck the blood, right? Similarly, the butterflies also have got same structures coming out of their mouth that helps them to suck the nectar from the flower, right? So the manner in which different organisms obtain nutrition is also different. Then we get to see that we humans or the different plants also, they respond to the stimulus. Stimulus is any change in the surrounding that makes an organism respond to them, right? Suppose if there is so much heat in the room, so then we will have some behavioral changes, right? Now we will have some behavioral changes could be seen in us, like we will turn on the fan, we will start drinking cold water, right? Now, or especially in summer season, we wear clothes that are light, right? Now, talking about the immediate cause, immediate stimulus, like if you were to touch a hot pan over here, then immediate message is sent to the brain, and thereby we react and then remove our hand, right? So here the cause of stimulus was what? Here the cause of stimulus was this hot pan,
Yeah.
right? Now, so in similar manner, stimulus could also be other things also, right? Now, for example, um, if you were to touch upon cubes of ice, so if we were to suddenly touch a cube of ice, then also we might be removing our hand from it, right? So at that time, certain cause of our action was what? What was
Cubes of
stimulus here? Cubes of ice, right? In the same manner, like you must have seen touch me not plant. Yeah, have you seen Mimosa pudica? That is the name of the plant, also called as touch me not. Touch me not. Why? Because if you were to touch it, the leaves of this plant will fold. Right now, have you
yeah.
seen that? Abu देखा है आपने ये Mimosa pudica or touch me not plant?
Yeah. So not
Right?
on real life.
Okay, in images you must have seen. So that
Yeah.
is how plants also responds to this stimulus. And as I said, like if you were to keep a potted plant nearby to the window, then the shoot or the branches will tend towards the window in order to get the sunlight. And then in the previous class, I did told you about respiration, right? Now, okay, will you please define the respiration? Just few lines. Like, what is respiration?
Like respiration is that we take in oxygen, then by the lungs,
I think
some changes
I
happen.
think this diagram is running in your mind. Forget about this diagram right now. Okay, just define respiration now.
Uh, Except for plants,
It could respiration is done by both plants and animals. Okay. In fact,
yeah, I can say that.
respiration is done by all the living things. Respiration is done by all the living things, not just plants and animals. It could be other others also. Respiration में basically क्या होता है? Look over here. The food that we are taking, whatever food we are eating, we need to extract energy from it, right? Now we need to take energy from that food. Okay, so in the process of respiration, what we will do, suppose you have eaten a loaf of bread or any food particle which you have eaten over here, all this food particle actually needs to be broken into very tiny pieces. It needs to be broken into a form where you can get energy out of it, right? So in the process
Yeah,
of respiration, what happens? The food is digested. In the process of digestion, food is now being broken down into very tiny pieces into soluble form, right now. So then after that,
yeah,
when the food is digested, we obtain energy out of it. Now the process is not simple as it looks like. What happens? The food that you eat, it actually combines with oxygen. And all this process is basically occurring inside the cells. Where is it happening? Inside the cells. So in the process, basically oxygen helps in the breakdown of food, thereby giving energy. Energy is being released, carbon dioxide is also released along with release of water. Hope that is clear now. So
Yeah.
respiration, it is a necessary thing for all the living organisms. Why? Because all the living organisms, in order to stay alive, they need energy. है ना अबू? So it is
Yeah.
actually through the process of respiration that our body, the body of plants, the body of bacteria, and all the living things gets the energy. And different organisms have different mechanisms for the exchange of gases. For example, gases की हमने जो बात की, like every organism will require oxygen for the breakdown of food. So this oxygen comes how? Consider the example of we humans. We humans take up the oxygen from the environment by the process of breathing, where you take in air and where you exhale the carbon dioxide gas. Okay now. And there's a whole
Yeah.
different process that goes inside the lungs right now. You know, like basically what happens when you take in the air or when you exhale. Breathing also includes two exercises now. It is inhalation, and then the next thing is exhalation right now. Inhalation is what? Inhalation is nothing but the taking up of the air inside the lungs. And then exhalation is basically the release of carbon dioxide from the lungs, from the body. All right. No, the oxygen that the air that comes into the lungs, from that oxygen is separated. And then that oxygen goes into the cells. Okay, now, Boo. That oxygen goes into the cell. Look over here, this glucose. This glucose is what? ये glucose क्या है हमारा? ये food है ना? This is food. Pay attention to
Yeah.
three words which I will be highlighting here. ये हमारा cell है. This is actually a cell. Moments ago, I told you that all the process of respiration takes place inside the cell, right now. So this is a cell over here, and inside the cell, what will happen? The glucose will react with oxygen. Glucose is what? It's a food simply, right? So
Yeah.
glucose reacts with oxygen, and thereby energy is released. What is released? Energy, carbon dioxide. Okay, let me highlight that with a different color so that it will be convenient for you. So energy is being released, carbon dioxide is released, and then water vapor is released. So the green ones, pay attention to them. So the reaction is being taken place between glucose and oxygen here. Okay, glucose and oxygen are reacting to each other, thereby the breakdown of this food, that is glucose, takes place. And in that process, energy is released, water vapor and carbon dioxide is also released. That is simply the process of respiration. Okay now. So the gas required for respiration is what? Which gas is required for respiration? Is it oxygen or carbon dioxide? Yes, Abu. Yeah, Abu, you're there.
Yes, I'm there.
I'm saying which gas is required for the process of respiration?
Uh, Oxygen.
Exactly. Oxygen is required. And which gas is produced in the process of respiration?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. Okay. And reaction takes place between which two components over here? The
Uh,
reaction is taking place between
the food and oxygen.
very good. Food and oxygen, right? So along with energy, what are the other two components that were released? Apart from energy, two more components were released in the process. Can you name them? Yes, Abu.
Uh, uh, Carbon dioxide
Hmm.
and carbon dioxide and
Yes. Look
the
at the
remaining
red. Look at the red circles. Look at the red circles. Isn't that water vapor? H2O,
yeah,
right now. H2O. Forget about
yeah,
six over here. It's H2O. Okay, now. So that
yeah.
is basically respiration. Now, if I were to talk about like humans, पे हमने देखा कि this oxygen is coming via the process of breathing, and we have got a whole system for that. The respiratory system is there in order to take up this oxygen. Right now, the purpose of all this respiratory system is basically to take up the air and then filter out the oxygen from it, and then the take up the carbon dioxide that is produced in the process of respiration. And since carbon dioxide is not a good component for our body, so it has to be released. So all this in all this process, the lungs, windpipes, nostrils, these parts are involved. If I were to talk about earthworms, hmm, so how do the earthworms takes the air? How do they take oxygen? Do they have got some special organs in them, or do they just take the oxygen by the help of their skin through their skin? Hmm?
By the skin.
By their skin, right now. I'm talking about fishes. Fishes have got which organ to take up the oxygen, to take up the air simply? Gills in them, right now. Okay. So basically, different organisms have got different mechanisms in order to take the oxygen, right? And basically, all the organisms will be releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Hope that is clear. Okay. Okay then. now, now talking about reproduction. Talking about reproduction thing, right? We didn't discuss that in the previous class. So in the case of reproduction, what basically happens? How the population of the different species is increasing? It is because of this process of reproduction. Actually, if you were to look out uh, for the necessary steps required for an organism to be alive, is it? It is what? It is nutrition, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and then excretion. You need to take the food now. You need to digest it. Okay. You need to absorb it, and then the absorbed food goes into the blood by the process of assimilation. It's TIUN. Okay, now assimilation, and then the waste material has to be excreted from the body by the process of excretion. These are the crucial steps required for an organism to be alive. If any one of it is not functioning, the organism will not be alive. Are you getting it? What I'm trying to say? Like
Yes,
for
sir.
an individual to stay alive, it does not need the reproduction process, right? But notice the term individual I have written over here. But for a population to alive, to be stay alive, for a species to be alive, it needs a process of reproduction. So that the numbers of individuals of that species can multiply, okay, na? And thereby they continue to exist on Earth, right? That's how
Yeah,
basically, if the numbers of species are decreasing, thereby it means that lesser number of um, pairs of that species are mating. That's how they go extinct, apart from like their environmental problems also, due to which their habitats are being destroyed, right? So that's a whole lot different thing. So reproduction, we talked about that all living organisms give rise to give rise to new ones via the process of reproduction. Okay, now if I were to talk about like bacteria, so basically the microorganisms, do they also reproduce? Do they also multiply? Do they also give birth to young ones? Abu,
What, sir?
if I were to talk about microorganisms, do microorganisms also does the process of reproduction?
Yeah, they multiply.
They multiply also, right now. And in what manner reproduction in case of microorganisms or in the case of humans, okay, different. How is reproduction different between the two? Hmm? Say, let's again take the example of amoeba. This is the nucleus of amoeba, and there is a jelly-like fluid in it that is called a cytoplasm. Okay, and then you have the human cells. You have got the human cell, for example. Look, in the case of amoeba, we basically know that it will split into two daughter cells, into two cells. Okay, from the middle, the cell will basically divide into two, right? And actually, if you were to see the daughter cells, these two cells that are now formed, इन्हें हम daughter cells कहते हैं, right? So where did these daughter cells came from? Actually, it came from the parent amoeba. It actually came from the parent amoeba, isn't it? Huh, Abu? This parent amoeba has now actually divided into two. Now we are calling them as daughter cells. And if you were to look at the characteristics of the two, they are not different to each other in any way. The daughter cells and the parent amoeba, they are identical to each other. They have got the same body features, right now. But अगर मैं बात करता हूँ in the case of humans में जो reproductions होते हैं, right? Say this is a male, this is a female, right? And the child born out of them, let's say it's a boy, for example. So the characteristics the boy will be having, the bodily features of the boy will be completely different from that of his father and mother, right now. So does the offspring of a human look exactly like their parents, or are they different?
Different.
They are different. But in the case of microorganisms, the offsprings, the daughter cells are completely identical to the parent cells. Getting it now? Getting the difference between the two,
Yeah,
right? So here we get to see like there's a genetic difference. We get to see genetic differences, right now. Actually, the features of this boy is a culmination of the characteristics of both female and male, right? The characters from both male and female are found in the boys, right now. Not in terms of body, in the terms of like his skin color, his hair being curly or not. Okay, whether the boy can roll his tongue or not, where the ear lobes are attached to the face. Okay, ear pinas are attached, ear lobes are attached to the face, etc. So those are the characters that are derived from the males and females, right? And talking about, if you were to look at some animals, right now, in the case of animals, you will also get to see like some animals produces eggs, while some of them do not produces eggs. Some of them will give birth to live ones, right? Take example of hens, ducks. They all give birth to. They all give eggs. While you have examples of different mammals like dogs, cats, cows, they all give birth to live ones. Okay, hope that is clear. Then in the case of
Yeah.
plants, so plants reproduce in which manner? Hmm? Look here, we know how do the plants reproduce. We know that plants grows from the seeds now. Basically, plants seed से grow करते हैं, right now. Seeds, then from seeds it grows into sapling, and then from that it grows into a plant and then into a tree, right? Then where did this seed actually came from? This is, I know that it, yeah, it is found in fruits. Right now, seeds are found in the fruits now. Okay.
Or flower.
Yeah, exactly. And then fruits were once flower, once they were actually flowers now, right?
Yeah.
And flowers became fruit when pollination actually happened. Right, in the previous chapter we did talk about pollination, in which what was happening. Can you define pollination?
Uh, what is happening is that um,
Mhm. Basically, in the process of pollination, what was happening? Look, we had, let me draw a diagram for you.
the thing happening is that like in the anther,
Mhm.
like in the anther there would be like some bead like uh, things, and then uh,
What do we call that bead like things? We call them as pollen
a
grains
pollen
now.
grain. Then they would be fallen in the stigma,
Mhm.
and and then uh, a pollination happens.
And then pollination happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So pollination is just the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. Right now, by the
Yeah.
way, this is filament. Okay, this is a filament. Filament and anther forms the male reproductive part of the flower. Okay, so basically what happens, the pollen grains, it transfer from the anther to the stigma, and thereby what happens now, in higher classes you will get to know, actually ये जो हमारा pollen grains होता है ना वो, it will make a whole channel inside this style. ये style के अंदर एक channel create करता है, it creates a hole, and then it basically enters into the ovary. Look what happens now, once the pollen grain falls on the stigma, then it will simply like it digs a hole like a structure, you can understand in that manner. So it will basically make a tunnel like a structure, and then it will go all the way up to this ovary, and inside there it leads to fertilization. यहाँ पर क्या होता है, fertilization होता है, right? So after fertilization has taken place, now the flower will convert into fruits gradually, right? And fruit, in the fruits, seeds are enclosed, right? So
Yeah.
that is how reproduction basically takes place in the case of plants. Flowers gets transformed into fruits, and then fruits, they are including seeds, and it is why the seeds that the new plants grows right now. And some
Yeah.
plants can, like, they can reproduce apart from seeds also, right now. You have examples of plants, like what are some of the exceptions? Have you seen bryophyllum leaves? Bryophyllum leaves. Look, bryophyllum leaf is a very interesting type of leaf in which you get to observe in which you get to observe that new plants can grow from leaves. Ever heard of that thing? Yes, Abu? कभी सुना आपने कि new plants can actually grow from a piece of leaves?
Yeah. On the
So
leaf,
that
there,
hmm,
yeah, like
hmm,
uh, leaf growing like structure
hmm.
on the
there will be there will be nodes arising out of the bryophyllum leaves. Okay, and a new plant can actually grow out of them. Right now, new plants can grow out of the leaf nodes over here. So here was there any role of seeds here? क्या seeds का कोई role था यहाँ पर? No. So there are exceptions also, like the case, consider the case of bryophyllum leaves also, and we also have examples of grafting. In grafting, basically what happens? One plant is stick over another plant. Okay. Suppose this is plant A. Okay, and then I will take plant B of the same species, and then I will place it over plant A and then tie them together. Right now. So what will happen? I have the root system of plant A and I have the shoot system of plant B. Look over here. What happens basically in the process of grafting? You have taken a plant A. Okay. You have cut the shoot system of this plant A. Then you have taken plant B over here, and then you have basically tied this plant B over this plant A. One thing needs to be taken care of, that both of the plant has to be of the same species actually. Right now, they they need to be of close species. Right. So you must have seen that on the mango tree basically what happens, two different types of mangoes can be growing at the same time. Yeah, on the mango tree you can actually grow two, as many as like 10 to 20 different types of mangoes can be grown on a mango tree by the help of the process of grafting. Right now, so
yeah,
there also be a helping in the growth of a new plant, so that will also be counted under the category of reproduction. Right, then take a piece of potato, cut it into different parts, make sure that each of the part has got eye bud on it. Okay, look over here, we up dekh that is called as a bud, bud. There's a bud like a structure present on the potatoes.
yeah,
Potato normally has structures like them, like this on them. Yeah, getting into what I'm trying
yeah,
to say. So
yeah,
we cut the potatoes into different pieces, make sure that each of them has got at least one bud in them, and then plant them in the soil. So from the each bud, from each part, new potato plant will start to grow. So there, were we using any types of seeds? No. So
mm,
reproduction can take place without seeds also in the case of different types of plants, right now.
yeah,
Okay, and then we did also talk about movement, like animals move from one place to another. What could be the reasons for movement of animals? Like in the primitive time, what was the sole person for which animals would be moving? Considering humans also, it will be mainly for food now. Food and shelter, right, Abu?
yeah,
Okay. And then nowadays the movement is being done for a variety of other purposes. We are not going there, like uh, commuting from one place to another, from your home to your school, from office to back to home, etc. Those are other things. So that is also type of movements. So movement will actually involve two things: moving from one place to another place, right? And then bodily movements will also be counted in it. Body movements. So that is also one of the type of movements where the body is not moving from one place to another, but showing movements, right? Talking about the plants are generally anchored in the soil. No, they are anchored in soil. Thereby, they shows not movement from one place to another, but still they show upward movement, right? Like the growth of stems, growth of branches, right? Okay. Considering
Yeah.
about the plants, although the plants itself does not move, but various minerals and waters moves inside the roots and the stems, right? So in the case of plants, what is happening? Water, different types of minerals are moving inside their body, and in the leaf the food that is prepared, that is also moving in the different parts of their body as well. So in that manner movement is taking place inside the plants also, right? Okay. And plants shows like other kinds of movement also. If you to see like opening of birds, opening of birds, I know, opening of birds or closing of flower birds, that is also a sign of movement, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right now. So that is simply about movement. Then you have like excretion also. No matter what type of living organism it is, whether it's flora, whether it's fauna, whether it's plants or animals, all of them does the process of excretion, right? So what is the question here is that what is the need of excretion? Yeah, Abu? Like what is the need of excretion? If you talk about excretion here, yeah, why the organism needs to remove the waste particles from the body? What would happen if waste products were not to be removed from the body? Yes, yes, Abu, I'm asking a question over here that why
Yeah.
is it?
Uh, at the like the it would be like the thing would be like useless in our body, and it would be keep filling.
Yeah, it will be filling up the intestines, it will be filling up the body, but then also like it is toxic in nature, right? Now the excreta, if stored in the body for a longer period of time, it could become toxic, and also in worst case scenarios it may start turning into stones also, right? Now thereby continuous removal of excreta from the body is very much necessary. So like all the living things take up the food is taken up by the all living things, right? So no matter whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, whether it's a bacteria, or whether it's a virus, all of them requires food. So does it is it the case that 100% of the food is utilized by the body?
No.
No, not 100% of the food is really taken up by the body, absorbed by the body, because food has got different components in it, and not all of them are digestible. Especially if I were to talk about plant-based foods, plant-based foods की अगर मैं बात करता हूँ, they have got a indigestible component in them. They've got indigestible component in them that is called as roughage. Right now,
Yeah.
the thing about roughage is that roughage is fibrous in nature. It is fibrous in nature. Okay, now. And it actually helps in the process of digestion, but itself it does not get digested. ये डाइजेशन के प्रोसेस में तो हेल्प करता है, बट ये खुद डाइजेस्ट नहीं होता है. ओके ना अबू?
Yeah.
So we get to see like food could consist of different components that is not digestible totally. So only a part of the food that we consume it is utilized by the body. So the unused or the remaining food is then excreted by the body. It becomes very necessary to excrete them out of the body, and that could be either in the form of solid state or in the liquid state as well, right? Considering the human body, our body releases the food in both releases the excreta both in liquid and solid state. It could be urine, and then the solid waste, that is stool, right? Then talking about other types of living organisms. Suppose you have an example of microorganisms like different types of bacteria. In their body also, waste materials are being produced now.
Yeah.
Like humans and different animals have got specialized organs via which they excrete the waste material out of their body. But do bacteria also have the same structures like we humans have? Obviously no, right now, Bo?
Yeah.
So basically, what happens in the cases of bacteria, the bacteria will be releasing the waste material outside of their body via the process of diffusion. Okay, by the process of diffusion. So in की जो body की जो cells in the, it will be simply excreting the waste material via their cell walls, via the cell membrane actually, not wall, right? So cell की boundary होती है. So through any part of that cell membrane, from any part of the cell membrane, it will release the waste material. Okay, it could be carbon dioxide. ये क्या हो सकता है? It could be carbon dioxide, and it could be other waste also that are produced in their bodies, right? So that is the manner in which the bacteria does the process of excretion. Okay, so whatever waste is being produced in the living organisms, they get rid of all those waste material, and the process of removal of those waste material has been termed as excretion. I repeat, all the living organisms that takes in food, not all of the food material is being digested by the body, not all of it is utilized by the body, so thereby there are some unused or remaining food in the body, so that has to be removed because it is toxic in nature. It can lead to several problems, right? So the process of removal of all those waste material has been simply called as excretion. Okay, Abu, some of the definitions I have provided or I have written, but some of the definitions I'm not writing over here because it would be a time consuming process. So, your work is that you need to make notes of all the things. Whatever I am saying in the class, okay, like I did told you about reproduction right now. So, your work is that you need to define reproduction. So, how you will start writing that? You will firstly say that like all living organisms give rise to new ones by the process of reproduction, and then you will say that the mode of reproduction in different organisms could be different, right now. And further you will say that in the case of microorganism, for example an amoeba, the parent cells divides into two daughter cells, right now. I guess you will be able to do that, or or should I explain all the definitions, और क्या आप लिख लेंगे अपने से? Yeah, yes,
I will try.
you will write no. Okay, after that then you will define a little bit about reproduction in other animals, like those who gives birth to eggs and those who give birth to live ones, right now. Oviparous and viviparous animals are there, the one that lays eggs and the one that does not lay eggs. And then you will talk a bit about the reproduction that takes place in the case of plants, where you will simply explain a bit about how pollination converts flowers into fruits, and then seeds are basically taking part in the process of reproduction. And then you will say like there are exceptions also, like you have examples of bryophyllum leaves, or the case of grafting is also there, where new plants can actually grow out without the help of seeds, right? So with this much of discussion, I think we are good to move ahead in the class then, and we can actually start discussing regarding animal adaptation, right? So look over here. Animal adaptation is what? Uh, if you were to look at different animals that are living in their habitats, all of them have got several features in their body that helps them to survive in their habitat. Yeah. Let's talk about like the let's talk about the polar bears first, right? What is it interesting about polar bears, and how do they actually survive in the cold deserts, in the cold area? Yeah. What types of adaptations can be seen in their body? Yes, Abu. Firstly, ये adaptation क्या होता है? What is simply adaptation? Yeah, Abu, I guess I'm audible to you.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
So simply when we hear of this term adaptation, what does it mean? Yes.
Adapting to surrounding,
Yes,
adapting to the surrounding.
adapting to the surrounding. Okay, that is okay. But adaptation in itself, what does it mean? Adaptation is a term, and adaptation in itself, what does it mean? Yes,
Mhm.
like you have examples of like camels also, which lives in the deserts, and they also have certain adaptations that helps them to survive in the harsh climate there. Huh?
Yes, sir. Uh, that
Like
is
you get,
true, right? But uh, adapting to the surrounding.
but they adapt to their surrounding. Adaptation for an animal to adapt, they need to have certain features in their body, certain special features in their body. Take the
Yeah,
example of camel again, like they have got, uh, they have got double eyelids. They have got
yeah,
two eyelids. Their legs are broad, right now. They
yeah,
can drink so many liters of water at the same time. And
yeah,
these different types of features they have adapted in order to survive in the harsh climate in the deserts. Also,
yeah,
they excrete a very small quantity of urine. Okay. Also, they excrete a very small quantity of urine. And then हम बात करते हैं like they do not sweat at all. Camels may no sweating. They do not sweat at all. Okay. And also, if you were to look at the dungs, उनके जो dungs होते हैं ना, the waste that they excrete, that is also very much dry. Okay.
yeah,
And they have got long legs, which provides them protection from the warm
yeah,
sand. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Heat that is coming from the sand. तो sand से काफी ऊपर होती है उनकी body, right now,
yeah.
right? Their
They
body
can
is
they can live without drinking water for months.
for many days they can live without the water, right now. For up to a month, it's been said like for up to 20 days they can live without water, right? So these are the special features which they have in order to survive in the given habitats, right? So
Yeah,
presence of certain features in a plant or animal that enables them to survive in their habitat is simply called as adaptations, right? So
yeah,
first we'll be talking about adaptations in animals, and later on we will be talking about adaptations in plants also. right? Plants में किस तरीके से, like if you were to look at the cactus, in the cactus the leaves are modified into stem, into thorns, right? So that water does not evaporate, right? Then you have examples of fishes also. Fishes, first thing you note about fish is that they have got a streamlined body shape. Fishes have got a streamlined body shape that allows them to move easily in the water. Okay. And then they have like slippery scales present on their body. Okay. They have got gills in their body that helps them to utilize the oxygen that is dissolved in the water, right? And they have got like fins in their body. Look, a fish has got fins in their body also. These are the fins and these are the tails, right? And these fins and tails actually help them in changing direction and then swimming ahead, right? So all of these things which we will be discussing them in detail in the next class. And in the next class, we'll be also talking about different types of habitats. Like there could be terrestrial habitats are also there. The animals that are living on the land and the basically life forms on the land. It will be both plant and animal. And then we will be talking later on about habitats under the water body. That is the aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat, where how the different plants and animals, aquatic plants and animals are surviving, how they take up